The making of a mobster, Capone's early life and rise. Al Capone, the notorious gangster who would become synonymous with the Roaring Twenties and the bloody violence of the Prohibition era, had humble beginnings. His story is one of transformation from a poor immigrant child to the most feared and powerful mob boss in America. Born in Brooklyn, New York in 1899 to Italian immigrant parents, Capone's early life was a far cry from the lavish lifestyle he would later lead. His parents, Gabriele and Teresa Capone, had come to America seeking a better life, but they found themselves in a tough working-class neighborhood. He was one of 9 children in a poor but hard-working family, his father a barber and his mother a seamstress. The Capone family lived in a small, cramped apartment, and every member had to contribute to make ends meet. Despite the hardships, they were a close-knit family, bound by their Italian heritage and strong work ethic. Young Al dropped out of school in the 6th grade, falling in with street gangs and engaging in petty crime. The streets of Brooklyn were rough, and Capone quickly learned that survival often meant being tougher and smarter than the next guy. He joined the James Street Boys gang, where he began to make a name for himself. Capone's criminal education began in the 5 Points gang, where he caught the eye of seasoned gangster Johnny Torrio. The 5 Points neighborhood was notorious for its violence and crime, and it was here that Capone honed his skills in extortion, robbery, and other illicit activities. Torrio became Capone's mentor, teaching him the ropes of organized crime and the lucrative potential of bootlegging. Torrio saw potential in the young Capone, recognizing his intelligence and ruthlessness. Under Torrio's guidance, Capone learned the importance of loyalty, strategy, and the art of negotiation. In 1919, at the dawn of Prohibition, Torrio relocated to Chicago to manage the brothels and gambling dens of the notorious South Side. Prohibition had created a golden opportunity for those willing to operate outside the law, and Torrio was determined to capitalize on it. He summoned Capone to join him, recognizing his protégé's ruthlessness and ambition. Capone eagerly accepted the invitation, seeing it as a chance to expand his influence and wealth. The move to Chicago was a pivotal moment in Capone's life, marking the beginning of his rise to power. This move marked a turning point in Capone's life, setting the stage for his meteoric rise to power. In Chicago, Capone quickly established himself as a force to be reckoned with, using his street smarts and brutal tactics to climb the ranks of the criminal underworld. Chicago in the 1920s was a city teeming with opportunity for ambitious criminals like Capone. The city's thriving nightlife and underground speakeasies provided the perfect cover for illegal activities, and Capone took full advantage of the situation. The ban on alcohol had created a massive demand for illegal liquor, and Capone, under Torrio's guidance, quickly rose through the ranks of the Chicago Outfit, the city's dominant criminal organization. He orchestrated bootlegging operations, ensuring a steady supply of alcohol to the city's speakeasies and private clubs. He earned the nickname Scarface after a bar fight, a badge of honor that would become synonymous with his fearsome reputation. The scar, a result of a violent altercation, served as a constant reminder of Capone's willingness to use force to achieve his goals. With a cunning mind for business and a ruthless streak a mile wide, Capone was poised to become the most powerful gangster in America. His ability to blend charm with intimidation made him a formidable leader, and he quickly gained the loyalty of his associates and the fear of his enemies. Capone's rise to power was swift and unstoppable, setting the stage for his reign as the king of the Chicago underworld. The Roaring Twenties, Prohibition, and the rise of organized crime. This era, often romanticized for its glitz and glamour, was also a time of significant social change and upheaval. The 1920s in America were a time of great social and economic upheaval. Cities were growing rapidly, and the cultural landscape was shifting dramatically. The First World War had ended, leaving a generation disillusioned and eager for a good time. Soldiers returned home, seeking to forget the horrors of war and embrace the pleasures of peace. The booming economy and the rise of consumerism fueled a desire for extravagance and indulgence. People were spending more than ever before, and the culture of excess was in full swing. It was into this heady mix that Prohibition was thrown in 1920, with the passage of the 18th Amendment to the Constitution and the Volstead Act. These laws aimed to curb the nation's drinking habits and promote moral behavior. These acts outlawed the manufacture, sale, and transportation of alcoholic beverages, intending to usher in a new era of sobriety and morality. However, the reality was far different from the lawmakers' intentions. Instead, they unleashed a tidal wave of unintended consequences. People found creative ways to circumvent the law, and the demand for alcohol did not wane. The demand for alcohol, far from disappearing, went underground, creating a black market more lucrative and dangerous than anyone could have imagined. Bootleggers and moonshiners thrived, producing and distributing illegal alcohol. Organized crime syndicates, already well established in cities like New York and Chicago, seized upon this opportunity with gusto. They saw Prohibition as a golden opportunity to expand their operations and increase their profits. They set up elaborate networks of distilleries, breweries, and smuggling routes, supplying speakeasies and clandestine saloons that sprang up across the nation. These hidden establishments became the heart of the social scene, where people from all walks of life gathered to drink and socialize. These criminal enterprises, flush with cash and operating outside the law, quickly became powerful forces in American society, wielding influence over politicians, law enforcement, and even the stock market. Corruption was rampant, and many officials turned a blind eye in exchange for bribes. The most successful and ruthless of these organizations was the Chicago outfit. Their operations were vast and well coordinated, making them a formidable force in the underworld. Under the leadership of Johnny Torrio and his ambitious lieutenant, Al Capone, the outfit ruthlessly eliminated their competition, employing violence and intimidation to establish a monopoly on the city's lucrative bootlegging, gambling, and prostitution rackets. Capone's rise to power was marked by his cunning and brutality. The streets of Chicago became battlegrounds, stained with the blood of rival gangsters and innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. The violence and lawlessness of the era left a lasting impact on the city and the nation as a whole. Capone's Chicago outfit, a reign of terror and bootlegging profits. The 1920s in Chicago were a time of great upheaval and transformation, marked by the rise of organized crime and the enforcement of prohibition laws. The city became a battleground where gangsters vied for control, and none were more notorious than Al Capone and his Chicago outfit. With Torrio at the helm and Capone as his enforcer, the Chicago outfit tightened its grip on the city. Torrio, a shrewd strategist, laid the groundwork for a criminal empire, while Capone, with his ruthless efficiency, expanded their influence. Together they orchestrated a reign of terror that left an indelible mark on Chicago's history. They infiltrated labor unions, bribed politicians and police officers, and intimidated or eliminated anyone who dared to stand in their way. Their reach extended into every corner of the city, ensuring that their operations ran smoothly and without interference. The outfit's power was not just in their muscle, but in their ability to manipulate the very fabric of society. Their bootlegging operation, fueled by Canadian whiskey smuggled across the Great Lakes and moonshine distilled in hidden warehouses, brought in an estimated $60 million a year, a staggering sum at the time. This illicit trade was the lifeblood of their empire, funding their other criminal activities and solidifying their dominance in the underworld. Capone, with his sharp mind for business and his talent for public relations, understood the importance of maintaining a certain image. He was not just a gangster, he was a businessman who knew how to play the public. His ability to navigate the media and public opinion was a key factor in his enduring infamy. He cultivated an aura of respectability, dressing impeccably, donating to charities, and presenting himself as a man of the people. A benefactor providing a service that the public demanded. This duality of his persona, ruthless criminal and charitable benefactor, made him a complex and fascinating figure in the eyes of many. He opened soup kitchens during the Depression, endearing himself to some Chicagoans who saw him as a Robin Hood figure, even as his men were gunning down rivals in broad daylight. These acts of charity were not just about public relations, they were a strategic move to gain the loyalty and support of the common people. Beneath the veneer of respectability, Capone ruled with an iron fist. His authority was absolute and his word was law within the outfit. Those who defied him faced swift and brutal retribution, a testament to his unyielding grip on power. He established a network of informants and spies, keeping tabs on his rivals and the authorities. This intelligence network was crucial in maintaining his dominance, allowing him to stay one step ahead of both his enemies and law enforcement. His enforcers, armed with Thompson submachine guns and sawed-off shotguns, meted out swift and brutal justice to anyone who crossed him. These men were the muscle behind Capone's power, ensuring that his will was enforced with deadly precision. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre, a gruesome display of violence that shocked the nation, would solidify Capone's reputation as the most ruthless gangster in America. This event, more than any other, highlighted the brutal reality of gang warfare in Chicago and cemented Capone's legacy as a symbol of the lawlessness of the Prohibition era. The Valentine's Day Massacre, a bloody Valentine from Scarface. On February 14, 1929, a date forever etched in the annals of gangland history, Capone orchestrated a hit that would send shockwaves through Chicago and beyond. The target Bugs Moran, leader of the North Side Gang, Capone's main rivals in the lucrative bootlegging business. The location are a nondescript garage on Chicago's North Side. Shortly before 11 a.m., 4 men, 2 dressed as police officers, entered the garage. Inside, 7 of Moran's men were lined up against the wall, believing they were about to be raided. The disguised assassins, wielding Thompson submachine guns, opened fire, unleashing a hail of bullets that cut down the unsuspecting gangsters. The massacre, as it quickly became known, was a brazen act of violence, carried out in broad daylight, that left 7 men dead and the city of Chicago reeling.
The St. Valentine's Day Massacre was a turning point in Capone's reign. The brutality of the killings, the cold-blooded execution of men posing no immediate threat, shocked the nation and turned public opinion against him. The media, which had previously treated Capone with a mixture of fascination and grudging respect, now condemned him as public enemy number 1. The pressure on law enforcement to bring Capone to justice intensified, and the federal government, under the leadership of President Herbert Hoover, made it their mission to take down Scarface and his empire of crime.